Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the Discriminating Gamer. You know, I recently bought some shoes from a drug dealer. I don't know what he laced them with, but I've been tripping all day. Ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to go ahead and take a look at Army of the Dead, a Zombicide game from CMON.
My zombie girl claws her way up through the soil. She wants me bad, but I know that she'll stay loyal. She wants a kiss, leans in like this, then bites off my lower lip. She's in my heart, but wants in my head. I'm in love with the living dead. She's one of the dead. She's one of the dead. She's one of the dead. I'm in love with the dead. Her teeth start to rot, but I think her body's still smoking hot. Yeah, she lost some weight. I'm not shallow, but I think it's great. She once was pink, but now she's all gray. I kinda like it more this way, 'cause she doesn't nag and she don't complain, and she's way into my brains. She's one of the dead. She's one of the dead. She's one of the dead. I'm in love with the dead. She's one of the dead. She's one.
We'll get back to the review in just a moment. I want to take a minute to ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about history, books on history, military history. I even post some of my lectures for my classes on there. Please check that out. Please subscribe to that channel. And now, back to the review. In Army of the Dead, a Zombicide game from CMON, 1 to 6 players take on the roles of characters from the Zack Snyder film. These were ne'er-do-wells who are engaging on a heist, going to break into a vault in Las Vegas and steal all the loot. Oh, but wait a second. Las Vegas is infested with zombies. So essentially, you are playing the characters from the film. Of course, they have their own stats and equipment that they're going to start with, and all sorts of fun things. You can actually pick like equipment sets to start out with, which is pretty cool. So you kind of start out a little bit pimped up. You don't have to find pimp crates or anything in this edition. And this game is a Zombicide game, so I'm not going to get into all the rules of Zombicide. I'm going to talk about some of the differences here between this version and kind of the other versions, and then I will tell you what I think. And this game has kind of the noise rules from Undead or Alive. Just the last place to produce sound is where the noise token goes. Doors are not really a thing. You can pretty much just go inside and outside of doors left and right, but they don't really factor into the game like they do in other Zombicide games. You have sleepers in this game. What that means is, according to the scenario rules, you actually place sleeper tokens throughout the board. These are randomized, and essentially they tell you how many shamblers, walkers, are going to spawn in that area if you wake them up. Now, you wake them up by doing anything in that room that causes noise. So if you search in that room, you will wake them up. If you shoot a gun, you will wake them up. So anything that creates noise will wake them up, but not just in that room, in any adjacent room as well. Shamblers will appear immediately. Now, you have, of course, as I say, shamblers, who are the walkers, but you don't really have fatties in this game. Instead, you have alphas. Now, alphas kind of combine runners and fatties from the original version here. They have 2 activations, but they also take 2 damage to kill. So you got to be very careful with these guys because they're uber powerful. You also have, with the spawn zones, you actually have the kind of the king zombie Zeus, who is kind of your main abomination. When he comes out on the board, he's actually got his own deck, and he's going to be doing all sorts of funky things, spawning other zombies from him as he moves along. Now, Zeus comes in 2 versions. There's a mounted Zeus and just the regular Zeus who's walking. You have the Queen as another abomination, and Valentine, the zombie dog, is another abomination. One thing that's different here, too, is targeting priority. Now, normally in a Zombicide game, you kind of target from the top down. So an abomination, then, fatties, then runners, or whatever. And here it's the other way around. You got to take out the shamblers before you can take out the alphas, before you can take out the abominations. In the equipment deck, there's also some new and interesting equipment you can find. For instance, there's a syringe that will give you 2 extra actions. So there's a little bit more goodies here in these search decks. Now, many of the weapons that you use will have limited ammunition. Now, how this works in this game is when you see that icon, and sometimes there might be 2, you go ahead and you roll your regular red dice, but you may also roll a white die or even 2 white dice, depending on those icons. What that means is they'll go ahead, they'll function just like regular dice. They can take out zombies, but if you roll a 1, you get that symbol, and what that means is that card is out of ammunition. You must flip it over. Now, if you have an extra ammo clip, you can go ahead and discard that ammo clip to ready that weapon once again. Now, first of all, too, the scenarios are not found in the back of the book. You have kind of a mission envelope, and you can pull the missions out just as a piece of paper. But what's interesting here is on that envelope, you actually have space for individual personal goals. So in this game, not only do you have to complete the mission objective, but a number of the characters who are also playing will get a personal objective card on there. That character must complete their own personal objective in order for everyone else to win. Now, it's next to a certain token. So if you're searching and trying to find tokens, if you find some of these other color tokens that are associated with those personal objectives, that token will grant the person who has it special abilities during the game as well. Now, many of these scenarios also have a ticking timer. There's things you have to do within a certain time frame, which I don't think we've seen that in Zombicide games before. We may have, but I don't recall off the top of my head. But critically, one of the other things that's different here is many of the scenarios involve trying to break into a vault. Now, you have, I think, 5 vault guards that you mix up and you randomly place one face down. When you get there, you reveal it, and it may have certain conditions. But essentially, when you get there, you are trying to open the vault, and you're rolling die. I think you roll die 3 times, and you can save whatever die you want to save, but you're trying to roll a straight, either a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, or a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And if you can get that straight, then you get access to the vault. But this represents you trying to break into that vault. So players are going around and around. They are navigating through the sleepers. They are taking out the various zombies that come at them, the shamblers, the alphas, and the abominations. They are trying to break into the vault trying to roll straights and using dice. Then they are trying to reach their mission objectives. And if the players are successful in reaching their mission objectives, then they win. Army of the Dead, a Zombicide game. So that's basically what you're getting in this game. There's some more bells and whistles, but essentially this is good old-fashioned Zombicide with a few new goodies thrown in. Now, I'm a huge Zombicide fan. I will never say no to a game of Zombicide. It's just good old-fashioned dice-chucking fun. I love it. Now, just a note here about the film Army of the Dead. I remember when this came out. Generally speaking, I'm a pretty big Zack Snyder fan. I know he gets a lot of flack from a lot of people. I loved his Dawn of the Dead remake. That's one of my favorite horror films of all time. He's made a lot of other films I've really enjoyed over the years. I know this is very controversial, but I absolutely loved his Snyder cut of the Justice League film. I thought it was great, and I'm really sad we're not going to see where that particular storyline goes. But in any event, I'm a fan. However, I watched Army of the Dead, and I was kind of with it for the first hour or so, and then it just kind of lost me. I felt it was just a little too long, a little too much, and I just it didn't grab me the way I wanted it to. So I was kind of upset about that, or I was disappointed, I guess, in that. That having said, this game is tremendous fun. I really, really had a ball with this. Ray and I played it. I played it with Kim, and every time I played it, every scenario I played is tough. This is one of the tougher Zombicide games I have played. I love Zombicide. Some of them are pretty easy. I love like the Night of the Living Dead version of Zombicide because I love how thematic it is. It's easily one of the easiest versions of Zombicide to play, however. And I like Army of the Dead because it presents a challenge, a real challenge here. It's tough. It's beatable, but it's tough. And I really like how the characters work. I really like they have classes, kind of like we saw in Undead or Alive. And I like their abilities and the stuff that comes out here. It's just a lot of fun. The sleepers are really cool. That forces you to make decisions about whether or not you really want to wake up these guys. Do you really, do you want to chance it? Or, okay, I'm okay waking up these guys, but what about in the adjacent rooms? And sometimes you don't think about it, and it's like, oh, I did it. Oh, I got to wake these guys up. And stuff like that has happened to me a few times in the game. The targeting priority stuff is interesting too, because again, you got to take out all the little guys before you can go after the big guys, which is also something that is kind of different from a lot of the other iterations of Zombicide. Zeus is interesting too. I like how when he comes out and he's laying down the cards, it reminded me kind of like Thanos from Marvel Zombies Guardians of the Galaxy. That's something you really had to watch when you bring Thanos out and you're playing the cards and he's getting stronger and stronger and doing nasty things. That's a lot of fun as well. It does feel like an evolution of the system, of the Zombicide system, and I'm super excited for this. I'd like to see expansion specifically for this version. I don't know if they will. I don't know if this is just a one-off, but it is a heck a lot of fun. I don't know that there was anything about this version of Zombicide that I didn't like. It seemed like everything they did, all the changes they made, fired on all thrusters for me. Really enjoyed it. I'd say to me, Marvel Zombies is still probably my favorite iteration of Zombicide, and I might like Undead or Alive a hair better because I really like the Western theme, but this one is right up there. This is a great version of Zombicide. So on the Cody scale, I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to give Army of the Dead an 8 out of 10. I think it is just a fantastic game. Thank you once again for joining us today on The Discriminating Gamer. As always, I ask you to please leave a comment for us on YouTube, on Board Game Geek, on our Facebook page, or on thediscriminatinggamer.com. We ask you to please like us on Facebook, subscribe to us on YouTube, and follow us on Twitter. I'd ask you to please give a thumb to this video on YouTube and on Board Game Geek. And if you're so inclined, I'd ask you to check out my other channel, that is Cody Carlson, PhD, where we talk about military history, books on history, fun things like that. It would mean a lot to me if you would subscribe to that channel as well. And if you really do appreciate the content we bring you on this channel, I would humbly ask you to click on the Super Thanks button and leave a tip. You know, my wife told me that I could be really immature sometimes. So I banned her from my tree fort.
She was hell to live with before she was one of the damned. She used to be so picky, now she likes me just the way I am. She is my dead girl and I am her live man. My friends, they're big.
She can shoot in there with
without hitting him. Yeah.
Yes, I know. I love you,
Really?
I love you. I love you. I love you. I love you.
Don't give our dogs any attention.
Sure, Bailey.
What? Oh, there's Sadie.